Well, she's going to love every minute of this then. Hey, what's up, America? Welcome to Get to Know the CEO. It's hosted by America's sweetheart, Eric Ryan. You're never going to believe this. I am America's sweetheart, Eric Ryan. This show, what we try to do here is humanize corporate America through the magic and power of stupid questions. Today's CEO, who is going to bare her soul to the American public by answering the 5 questions of doom, is the CEO and founder of Alter New Media, Nadya Rousseau. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Eric. All right.
Being here. All right. On most shows, you talk about business stuff, but we don't do that here because I'm too dumb to talk about business stuff. So you're going to answer the 5 questions of doom. Here they are. Your 3 favorite bands, your 3 favorite movies, your 3 favorite books, your death row meal, and your favorite quote. What do you think about that?
All right. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I have your answers here. Number 1, and your 3 favorite bands. This might be my favorite picture of a band of all time.
Oh my God. Epic.
Hey, that shirt is dry clean only. I'm almost positive of this. But I don't know who didn't understand that there was a photo shoot. This like, did the 3 guy, were they confused? Or was
I think you're giving me some Halloween inspo. Like maybe this is what I should do this year.
Yeah, let's go. If you want to be Depeche Mode, I support it. All right.
Like all of them. My costume should be like all of them at once somehow.
I just go for the guy in the front. I got to be honest with you. I think that would be a more impactful Halloween. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to dress like the drummer? Nobody wants that. All right. So tell me about why you love Depeche Mode.
I am a big 80s music fan. I love dark wave. Truthfully, Lauren, my beautiful wife and co-founder, got me into Depeche Mode. I want to say over a decade ago, maybe like 15 years ago. I think their music is so transportive and enigmatic. So I love it. I've seen them twice. I've seen them at the Hollywood Bowl and I've seen them out here in Las Vegas.
Interesting. So my father is a big audiophile fella. He used to play Violator a lot. So like I love Personal Jesus, Policy of Truth, Enjoy the Silence. I'm a Depeche Mode hit guy. But then Spotify serves me up Just Can't Get Enough. And that doesn't sound anything like, well, I mean, it does, but it's like baby Depeche Mode. But from what I understood, like someone from originally in the band who wrote all the songs, including Just Can't Get Enough, left and they got a lot darker and more interesting.
I'm not a huge Just Can't Get Enough fan either. I'm pretty sure they performed that at in Las Vegas. And it was not like the crowd just kind of retreated slightly and then proceeded to get more animated once they got back to their darker roots.
Yeah. Here's the thing too. So Depeche Mode has made this list before. It was a fella who I had on who is he's a big fan of microdosing mushrooms after the age of 55. Well, his whole thing is introducing psychedelics to an older crowd.
Okay, gotcha.
So this is one of those things where I think, I don't want to spoil the episode, but one of your movies is Ghost World, which I watched last night in preparation for this. And nobody would
Did you really?
Listen, I'm committed to this show. Ghost World, they just talk like we used to talk in 2001. They say words that you're not allowed to say anymore. And that got me thinking here, like, I don't know if you're allowed to say this, but I'm sure Depeche Mode sounds a lot better on mushrooms. They're fine now. And this is the analogy I came up with. It's food without salt. Food without salt is okay. Like it's serviceable. It works. Salt makes it that much better. I think Depeche Mode is fine. I mean, look at them. They're gonna be all right. But on mushrooms, I think they would be exponentially better. I think that's the case of most music, but specifically this like synthy, floaty, atmospheric stuff, you know?
I can't say I've ever, done mushrooms while listening to Depeche Mode. I think the farthest I've gone is being inebriated, but who knows what the future holds, right?
I don't know if I'm allowed to push psychedelics on LinkedIn, but I'm going to make a soft suggestion that if it's legal in Massachusetts, it's on the ballot. So it might be decriminalized. In that case, if you don't want to break the law, little psychedelics, little Depeche Mode, I think will be all right. What else was I going to say? Oh, I have one more thing about Depeche Mode. Some bands you can't tell they're British when they sing. You know how they lose the accent.
I know Brits are so good at that, right?
Not Depeche Mode. You know these guys are British. There's no way they're not British
for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna move on to a clearly not British band. These fellas here, the Eagles. Oh, the 70s were a wild. Look at this. This is a 70s rock and roll band. What do you love about the Eagles?
Again, very transportive, enigmatic, any music that takes me to another place or era, which, so quintessentially 70s, right? So, I mean, the Eagles, they do take you back. In fact, I am planning to see them at the Sphere. Fingers
Ah,
crossed if tickets are not sold out, which I know is going to be really crazy. And going back to your other soft recommendation from earlier, you know, it might have to be on the table. We'll see. But I did see them. God, when did I see them? In 2022. And I'm like, oh my God, these guys are old and they are throwing it down.
so many of these bands are so goddamn old. As a matter of fact, what's left of the Eagles at this point? A few of them have died, right? Well, one of the main guys, Fry, and he's dead. Who else is dead?
Gosh, who else passed away? A couple of them have,
Yeah.
but
Let's not bring the show down. Let's bring it back to psychedelics.
let's bring it back up.
Yeah. Okay, this is what I'll say about the Eagles. I'm not a huge fan only because I like my rock and roll with more eyeliner. I like a guy with makeup who worships Satan. You know, I like Motley Crue.
Okay, so you're like, all right, gotcha.
They're little California, little folksy.
You're a little bit of a Manson. Are you a Manson fan?
That was too much. I like balance. Somewhere between Manson and the Eagles. Somewhere in the middle. But I'll say this about the Eagles. I watched the documentary, The History of the Eagles. They say not to meet your heroes, not that they're my heroes, but I will say music documentaries are some of the finest films of all time. They are the greatest. I'm just going to recommend some here for the listening audience. Muscle Shoals, The Wrecking Crew, Searching for Sugar Man might be the greatest movie of all time. Sound City, and The History of the Eagles. Oh, and Some Kind of Monster about Metallica. Oh my God, that was good.
Oh, I need to see that. I haven't seen Metallica yet. I do love Metallica.
I liked the Black Album, and then when I was in college, they pulled that shit with Napster, and that really, which they were right. We should be paying for music, but at the time, nobody wanted to pay for music. Daniel, age is just a number, but the problem is it's a number that indicates when you're going to die. So no, everybody wants to forget that part of the whole equation. Are those the ones who died, Glenn and Randy, or those who are left?
No, there's not. There's more than two left.
Look, this was them in 1970. They're clearly in their mid 40s. I don't think there's a lot. You know what I mean?
I feel like they're like in their late 30s. I don't know about you, but I always notice people from a long time ago, like they look older, younger, like back in the day. It's kind of weird.
Have you seen that thing, the cast of Cheers, and they show everybody's like 32, but they look like they're 50?
But they look elderly, yeah.
I think it's like feral cats. I think now all we do is stay inside and look at our cell phones, so we don't get, we're not the sun, everything. We're just we're inside cats. We can live till 800 now.
There you go.
They were outside doing drugs, drinking Schlitz. All right, let's go to your third band. Never heard Trust. This is this guy.
Love Trust, again, super transportive, definitely pulls a lot of influences from the 80s. You could feel a little bit of that Depeche Mode influence going on there. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Trust. Seen him twice, I think, and hoping to see him again in November.
Okay. I have an opinion on this guy, but I just want to go. All right, so Glenn and Randy, ready? They died.
Oh no.
Thanks, Lauren. Now we know we got a lot of history about the Eagles. All right, Trust. This is sort of haunting, atmospheric, floaty. Again, soft suggestion. It would be better on psychedelics. Probably this guy. But I've been listening. I like Mr. Kitty. I don't know if you know him. I like Time Cop 1983. I like synthy, floaty. In my top 5, I go Pink Floyd and Bon Iver, and I call them
Pink Floyd.
I call them
Did you see The Wall?
Tremendous. I call it ethereal bullshit, and I mean this in a nice way. It's ethereal bullshit. The lyrics are dumb. The music is kind of it's out there, but it's good. That's what this guy is.
I will say his lyrics are pretty solid. They're pretty solid. Some stronger than others for sure.
I have to assume that you're much smarter than I am because one of your movies is indicative of that. I watched a few videos like where the lyrics are there, and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it, but whatever. It sounds good. Speaking of things that I don't get, let's move on to your first movie. Oh boy, Mulholland Drive. Let me say this before you go on. For a movie that I did not like, I've seen a certain clip 800,000 times. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
For sure.
So explain to me why you love this.
Okay. Well, Mulholland Drive, again, very enigmatic, very transportive, very identity oriented, really looks at dualities of identity, of, what does it mean to even like have an identity, seeking something like a more idealized version of yourself at the expense of, who you are, and how that can be self-destructive if you don't know who you are. So clearly there's very existential themes. I love David Lynch. He's an absolute badass. So there you go.
He's intense. Okay, so this is what I'll say about Mulholland Drive. It came out in 2001. I was 20. I'm probably watching it in 2002. Still very dumb. And you need to be smart with this movie. Okay, so I watched a bunch of reviews online. Some people say you have to watch it 5 times to really understand. In those days, like, I only used the internet for, that clip and AOL Messenger. So it wasn't like I was going to go, let me have the internet explain this movie to me. But from what I understand, the first 2/3 of the movie are sort of a dream sequence. Yes. Of Naomi Watts' character. And then at some point the blue box comes into play, and then everything else is sort of the regret or the action or the results of what she had done, hiring a hitman and blah, blah, blah. That sounds about right?
You're on the right track for sure.
Okay.
I don't want to give too many spoilers to people who haven't seen the film yet.
I think it came out almost 25 years ago, so I think spoilers. if you haven't seen,
I don't know. I mean, we're streaming to LinkedIn here, so bear in mind, the LinkedIn crew, they might not be big Mulholland Drive or Lynchian types.
You don't think all these B2B superstars love David Lynch?
All like the lead gen, like rock stars. Yeah, I don't know.
They don't like trippy existential crisis movies. I will say this about your 3 movies. I go to Roger Ebert a lot for him to inform me about whether
Roger, yeah.
Loved all 3 of these movies. Did you know that?
Roger knows what's up.
Well,
Usually.
he did. May he rest in peace.
Well, again, going back to your soft recommendation of certain substances, maybe in my future mind, he's still with us.
On a different plane out there in the ether, Roger Ebert is still reviewing movies.
Yes.
And he loves Avengers. He can't get enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, she was a ghost. But then some of the reviewers said that Naomi Watts' character and the other chick, the brunette, are the same person. I'm too dumb for this. You know what I like? The Avengers. That's why. It's just
the Avengers.
B2B superstars. Everyone on LinkedIn
they're with it. They're going to start flooding you with comments any moment.
Yeah. On LinkedIn, they used to be ninjas, and then they were wizards. Now they're superstars. They'll be something else. They're big on buzzwords. LinkedIn. I don't know if you've noticed that. Or Roger Ebert. He did not look good at the end. I think it was he had some jaw issues. Anyway, hey, enough about him. Now about a movie that terrifies children. This is my favorite movie that involves horse murder. And I know that's a bold statement.
Oh, that scene always, and still to this day, makes me bawl my eyes out.
I watched it again last night, and it's intense. It's not a sudden horse death. It is a drawn out, begging you to move.
Drawn out. Oh my God.
And go ahead.
Much. Like, I was watching that as a kid. I'm like so devastated. I'm thinking, like, would today's children, they're watching like, shit that I wasn't allowed to watch until I was like 14. So I think they'd be chill with that scene.
I can't decide whether or not children are watching things that are age appropriate or not, because if you look at, this is obviously a trope, but every Disney movie starts with the murder of a parent or some shit, or Dumbo is awful. Like, she's rocking him while she's being led away in a goddamn cage. Bambi's mother gets shot immediately. No, there's no 2-parent household in any Disney movie. This is murdering horses, beloved pets. So what are kids today watching that's so much worse than that? I'm not sure.
TikTok, I guess.
Are they murdering horses on TikTok? Because that would just
I feel like they're like just watching each other like live stream like suicide.
That would be worse.
Yeah, that might be a little worse.
It'd be even worse. 2 horses committing suicide. Oh, can you imagine? That would be awful.
Wow.
This movie is intense for children. There's lasers getting shot out of eyes. The wolf is very scary. What? The puppets are horrifying.
The Rock, the big rock man.
The Rock is terrifying, and the author didn't like it because I think they didn't include the second half where one of the kids, it's either Bastian or Atreyu, goes nuts. Did you know that? And like tries to take over something. Yeah, they left out the whole second act of the book where it gets even worse.
Okay, clearly I need to go back and read the book. I usually read books, that films are adapted from, but in this case, I did not read the Neverending Story book. I've been told by many that you must read the book. It's so much better than the film. So now that I know that, even more of an incentive.
Well, it's a German movie. And whoever did the German movie, this is his first English movie. And the Germans are pretty intense. I think Grimm's fairy tales are German, aren't they? So like they don't fuck around.
No, definitely not.
Germany. Anyway, okay, this is the movie that sent me into my own existential crisis. We'll just say, can we go back for a second? See, it is plausible. This is why Mulholland Drive is so confusing, because it could mean
that's what my interpretation was, that they were the same person.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that makes that one scene hotter or not. I'm not. Well, I'll do. Ghost World came out in 2001. This is, again, I mentioned this at the top of the show. The way they talk, they were just allowed to say the first word spoken in the movie is the R word. You're not allowed to say that anymore. But like they didn't give a fuck. And this is a perfect movie that shows you what we had to do before cell phones. They dicked around with the want ads. They played pranks on other people. There was no internet. 20 years ago, there was no internet, or it wasn't pervasive. It wasn't in our pocket every day.
No. I mean, I grew up in the MySpace, LiveJournal, Friendster era, not the same as like the TikTok, IG era for the younger teens and tweens today.
Yeah. And this movie just wouldn't get made today. This is another rant I go on all the time. It's a mid-budget movie. Nothing really happens. It's a little thing. It's like, I love Catcher in the Rye, but I don't know why. There's no, like, nothing explodes. There's no car chases. There's no nudity. And that's what this movie is. Roger Ebert, though, said, I wanted to hug this movie. It takes such a risky journey and never steps wrong. It creates specific, original, believable, lovable characters and meanders with them through their inconsolable days, never losing its sense of humor. I think that's about right. I think Roger nailed it. Just a day in the life of two weirdos and their weirdo friends, pre-internet. Isn't that what this movie is?
Literally, like, these two were me and my like BFF growing up. Like, I would be very much of like the Scarlett Johansson character, and she would have been like the Thora Birch character, although I was dressing more like the Thora Birch character. I was very goth in high school, so there you go.
She was very intensely goth too. Like when she goes, yeah. This is okay. So I don't really care about Incubus, but they come up a lot. And Incubus sent me into my own existential crisis because while doing research, I found like the MTV used to have a show called Diaries or something. It was like a day in the life of. So I watched that, and it was from the early 2000s. I was like, that's what all me and my friends looked like, kind of. And then I saw Incubus today, and they're old as shit.
Oh my God, I know.
Like I looked up Thora Birch now. She looks like a woman in her mid-40s.
I feel like she's old. She might be older than that. Is she like in her late 40s, or is she in her mid 40s?
Well, I know you're not supposed to say this about people. She looks worse than her age. She's about 42, but she looks about 52. Anyway, like, Hollywood is tough, but it just scares me because this was sort of like I was of that age when this movie came out, and now we are all old as shit. And it's just every time it happens to me, I go through my own like I'm gonna die soon.
Millennials, we're getting elderly now. We're on our path. We're on the trajectory to be in the Silver Sneakers Club and get those 55 plus like meal specials.
I was born in 1980, so I'm almost X. So I'm like,
you're like, you're on the cusp. I'm on the last day of 86. I'm a New Year's Eve baby. So I went to school with all the 87s, but
Yeah, we're all close to death now. Also, what I found odd, because I did a lot of research on this, the actor Patrick Fischler, do you know him? He was in Mulholland Drive and Ghost World.
Okay. I forgot.
He's good, that guy. Very striking face. Hard to miss. All right. Was this the book? Is this the book that you're referencing?
Yes, this is one of the books. Oh my gosh. So Francesca, I have a fun story about Francesca Leah Block. So she was a writer that I really admired when I was in my early teens, and I read a book called Violet and Claire by her, which was one of my favorite books when I was a teenager. Fast forward to being in LA in my late 20s, and I was able to connect with her through another friend just by accident. And we began kind of cross mentoring each other. I was mentoring her on marketing stuff. She was mentoring me on creative writing stuff, because I also do creative writing. And this is her most recent release, House of Hearts. It takes place in the desert in the like outside of Joshua Tree area. Very intense story, very character driven, very identity focused, and definitely a phenomenal book.
It says the main character's quest takes you into a world of sexuality, madness, and violence. where she
Yeah.
discovers a life-changing secret, not only about Cyrus, her boyfriend, but ultimately about herself. Does that sound about right?
That is absolutely correct.
This is refreshing because I usually do this show, I do it with CEOs, and it's all, self-helpy books or,
I
business.
know. And I know that I knew for a fact that that's the type of shit that you got, but I love fiction. At night, I'm reading fiction. Right now, I'm reading Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. At night, I know it's not the best bedtime story, but that's my brain. It is what it is. I like the self-help stuff, but you guys, CEOs, open your minds. Don't read like the same like Power of Habit over and over, please.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I can't decide if they legitimately like it or if they're just acting as if when they give me 3, you know what I mean? Because that's what people want to hear.
Hard to tell. I mean, yeah, I wear it all on my sleeves. So like I told you, I'm an open book.
Yeah, shockingly, I've only had 2 people do the Bible. I thought it was going to be every dime. Like, oh yeah, we have to pretend that it's a good book.
Maybe if you updated your targeting to like the deep south, you get more.
I'm going to do that because nothing would make me more happy than talking about the Bible for 45 minutes. All right, yeah. Well, you did include this. This is a little, this is on brand.
I at least one. I was like, let me get at least one of my favorite biz books and biz people.
She is the most booked female speaker in the United States. Did you know that?
I do know that. Mm-hmm.
Well, then that was redundant. But so the 5-second rule, the idea is that whatever you don't want to do, you should just count down by 5 and do it. Is that the general?
That is correct. That's how, yes. And you go through that reminder throughout the entire book. Yes.
It's okay. So that sort of begs the question. She gets a whole book out of the 5-second rule. I mean,
she gets a whole book. I know. It's like, I guess she's counting down a lot.
She must be.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where yesterday I talked about one of my favorite books, which is Religion for Atheists, speaking of the Bible. So his whole, it's by Alain de Botton. His whole thing is like, he goes, I'm an agnostic or an atheist. I'm never going to talk to somebody that's religious or spiritual. And then someone's going to go, you're right. And then change. Like that never happens. So the best we can do is learn from each other. So one of the things religion does really well is you go to church every week and they repeat themselves. They like tell the story over and over and over because that's how humans learn. Whereas in the secular world, if you take one course on whatever philosophy in college, they go, philosophy, go use it.
Right.
These books tend to repeat themselves a lot. There's a million books that kind of say the same, like just do
Gary
it.
Vaynerchuk's books, like a lot. Like, I mean, he is the master of repetition in all of his content.
Yeah. And that's sort of learning from religion, which is just repeat the fuck out of yourself constantly, because you'd figure you hear one time, oh, you just do it. Nike said that 40 years ago, which is sort of the same thing, but it's not enough. It has to be drilled into our dumb brains.
Huh. That's very true. Yep.
Well, she's doing all right for herself. Most booked female speaker. And she's fed to me on Instagram all the time, even though I don't follow her, but business.
There you go. There you go. I love her. She's very real. She's very authentic. So I think that's what, her brand or her vibe, it just aligns with mine in that respect. It's because there is a lot of artifice in this world.
Yeah. I don't find her unpleasant. She seems, as far as people that do what she does, I would say comes across at least as authentic, which is nice.
Yes.
All right. Now this thing. Oh boy. This book I read. All right. So I watched a lot of reviews. And a lot of people, they had the same things. Like, I can't really recommend it because it's sad or something. It seems to be like a depressing book. It's a lot of people like it's good, but I wouldn't tell you to read it. Do you think that's about right?
I would absolutely tell people to read it because again, it captures the transient. It's kind of like a duality of transience, if that makes sense. Like the transience that can go on within us when we haven't found our purpose or we're volleying between challenges and then the actual like physicality of that transience as it's displayed through the protagonist constant driving between LA and Las Vegas. And we all know the saying, oh, I want to hit the road, I want to go on a road trip. Either you're running away for something or you're trying to find something. And so, most of what I like to read, whether it be fiction or nonfiction, it always comes back to identity and just some level of existentialism. So it's a fabulous story. And the movie adaptation, though, is it's a little campy, as it would make sense for it to be, because the book came out, I think, in the early 70s or the late 60s. Yeah, and Anthony Perkins is in the film, Tuesday Weld. It's very campy.
So somebody said it's a pessimistic story of celebrities behaving badly.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because when you're reading, because I mean, I was in LA for a number of years. I was in the entertainment industry. I was a professional actor and model for a certain number of years. And this is taking place in the late 60s. And the way people are treating each other and behaving is no different than they were in the 2010s, early 2000s. It's just exactly the same.
I'm glad you mentioned that because this is one of the things I highlighted about the research. It says Maria's story highlights the alienation and disconnection often felt in modern society, particularly in a world focused on appearance and success. This book is about 1960s Hollywood. So the thing that she's comparing, or the book is saying, was applicable in the 60s, and it got me thinking about, like, if you watch It's a Wonderful Life, that movie's old as fuck, right? They're complaining about the commercialization of Christmas. It's like, how long have things been commercialized?
Forever.
Felt alienated, and yes, forever. That's the point. And it's like this whole thing about people's obsession with pretty people and money. Yes, well, that's because ugly poor people are everywhere. So pretty people with money is different and exciting. And
right,
the
there's
human
going to
brain,
be novelty in that. Yeah,
human brain is built to be attracted by novelty. So it's like, this book has a nihilistic tone. It's only nihilism if you just accept certain things about humanity, which is that we always feel disconnected. We're always placing values in the wrong places and getting mad at other people for doing so. Just accept it and move on.
Yes, for sure.
I don't know if that was the point of the book, but it just got me thinking, like, oh my God, everyone's upset about everything, man. No one's connected. No one's connected. We're all disconnected. And we have been since at least 1960, according to this book.
At least 1960.
That goes way back. All right. You want to talk about your death row meal?
Let's do it.
All right. I put together a little collage. All right.
That looks really good. Oh my God.
Right? Yeah, all right. So you've gone carb heavy, which I applaud. Right off the bat, macaroni and cheese with truffle. This is what I love about American cuisine. I've said it a million times. It has no credibility, which is, you'd think that's an insult, but it's not. We build on top of it because we're not anchored by tradition. Macaroni and cheese is great. It'd be better. An expensive fungus on top. And that's what we've done here.
Well, let me tell you something. In my regular life, I do not eat a lot of carbs. I eat very clean, sprouted shakes, low carb, lots of greens. Occasionally, I will splurge and get like a truffle mac and cheese or, whatever. So if this is my death row meal, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go carb heavy. There's still a little inkling of healthiness there so I can get my nutrients before, my time is out.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this is not the time to worry about nutrients. They're meaningless.
Embrace nihilism. Donated. I don't know, right? So shit, like they gotta be.
Yeah, they'd be like, I take her liver, but it's full of macaroni and cheese. I can't. So truffle, the opulence. This is the thing. This is why macaroni and cheese is so great. You put anything on top of macaroni and cheese, and it becomes better. It's already great. But people are putting lobster in it. They put bacon on top of it. Sometimes broccoli. They're fucking lunatics.
They're sometimes doing flaming hot Cheetos too.
Flaming hot Cheetos. That see, American cuisine. We've done it again. We just keep adding. You know why? No anchor to the past. It's delightful.
America's about its excess, so we're gonna go excessive with that mac and cheese.
It's gonna kill us all. It's gonna be the end of humanity, but we're gonna have a good time. It's gonna taste good.
Yes. 100%.
So then you're going mashed yams, which I take to mean sweet potatoes, right? Because okay, good. I had a little bit of a panic moment because I watch a lot of America's Test Kitchen on PBS because I support non-public television, and they did a whole segment about what we call yams aren't actual yams. But yeah, it's fine now. I think it's mashed sweet potatoes you're looking for, right?
Well, here's the thing. Like, they're not going to be orange like that, guys, if they are not yams. Sweet potatoes are like whitish, like yellow. They do not give you that color. Y'all want to call them sweet potatoes, but they are freaking yams.
Okay.
Sorry.
Y'all. You dropped the y'all. That's how you know you're serious about your orange root vegetables.
I am so serious.
I think
about my tubers, okay?
I get. Well, look at you. In the Northeast, I don't think we have embraced sweet potatoes the way we should have historically, but I think they're ubiquitous enough because mashed potatoes are great. But it's like, what if you added sugar? That's what this does.
We added sugar.
Naturally.
In this situation, we're adding sugar. We're adding it all. I grew up in Western Maryland. I don't know if like yams are necessarily a thing there or sweet potatoes, but I ate them and I eat them now. God.
Speaking of healthy, they're low on the glycemic index. So I'm not they'll still be processing as your corpse slowly cools down. All right, so right off the bat, you're going very carb heavy. Then you're going baked scallops. I wasn't sure if you wanted the breadcrumbs on top, but I like
I'm
a little
so down with this. This is great.
Yeah. The Ritz cracker butter combination with any seafood is just goddamn
Is
delightful.
that what the recipe brought up? Did you find a recipe for Ritz cracker crumbs?
Well, again, I'm skewing northeast, so if you get like baked scallops up here, they're doing a Ritz cracker butter topping at the very least.
Whoa.
It could be swimming in it. This is sort of minimalist.
I only ate Ritz when I had like a stomach upset. You guys eat it like on the daily?
You're missing out. So like baked stuffed lobster up here, it's a Ritz butter shit on the lobster. It's like licking God, I would assume, for the religious. Oh, it's really, yeah.
All right. Listen out.
So scallops, is that a Maryland thing?
No, Maryland is like a crab thing, but
with Old Bay seasoning, you put that shit on everything, right?
Yes, 100%, so good. But wild scallops, I just love wild jumbo scallops. They just have such a yummy taste, and I was gonna say they're high in protein, but again, I guess it doesn't matter. Protein, calories.
Forget the nutrition; it's meaningless at this point.
It doesn't matter. They taste good.
They're soft. They're not overly fishy.
They're comforting.
They're absolutely. And then you're going filet. Do you do a sauce or a butter on top? How you doing the filet?
I think we should do a giant slab of butter, just like we see it here. But I think it might have to be more rare because it's my last go. So who cares if I got food poisoning?
The genius to cook steak like just a little bit and then to put butter on top. I don't know who invented this, but genius, absolutely genius. This is the thing I say about this show a lot too. 100 years ago, everyone's like, "Oh, we're fat, we're dying." Yeah, it's because we have good food now. 100 years ago, nobody had any of this. Nothing. And now we have it all. And what you're supposed to say to us is, "Don't eat it. Stop it."
That's right. Yeah, people can't stop.
When they tell you that eating red meat takes like 10 years off your life, it doesn't take 20 to 30. It takes 80 to 90. I don't want those years anyway. You can have them, you know?
Right. There you go. 100%.
So I support your carb heavy, meat heavy first course. All right, what do we got for the second course? Little lighter. You're on Pellegrino. Probably thirsty.
This is like the bougiest death row experience.
Is it? No, I mean, yeah.
No, you've gotten bougier. You've gotten bougier. I know you have.
Yeah, I've gone bougier, but this is mid bouge, I would say. So Pellegrino, it's a fine sparkling water. I'm more of a flavored seltzer. Yeah, Perrier now. Flavored seltzer water. You know, I like a watermelon lemonade or some shit, but the classic is still good.
You know, it's my go-to. I get it delivered by Amazon every other week, so I don't want to lose my habits completely when I'm on.
You got to stay true to yourself. So Amazon's going to deliver this to the prison, which is nice.
Amazon Prime will come. Yeah.
In the next day, which is unbelievable. Then you did a thing that always shocks me about wine drinkers, which is you just said Pinot Grigio without specifying a year or a make or a model. Are you just want some white wine?
I just want, it has to be like actual Pinot Grigio from Italy. Like, I will say that. Like, don't give me some California wine labeled as Pinot Grigio, please.
Okay, so it has to be from Italy, which I think this probably is. There's a lot of words I can't pronounce.
It says Italia on there, so I think, we're good to go.
Yeah. Okay, so that works. The thing I love about wine drinkers is that it's added pretentiousness to alcoholism. So people can pretend they're in it for the tannins or I like this grape. You just like getting drunk in a fancy way. But I'm on to you, but I won't tell anybody else. Okay. Tiramisu. I've often criticized the Italians for their desserts because I think largely they're not great. Those very dry, the dry cookies, the rainbow.
Oh, like the biscottis. I don't like those.
Biscotti, way too hot. Like most of their desserts are bone dry, and they're like, "Well, you have to dip them in coffee." I don't always want coffee with my dessert. I will say this though: they nailed tiramisu.
So good.
It's so good. Unbelievably good. And again, with coffee, they had to include coffee, which is fine in this case, but I'll give them gelato and tiramisu. The rest of their desserts are garbage. Cannolis are too dry too, even though there's goo in the middle. But I think this is the king of the desserts. As good as Americans are.
Italian. Like, I'm looking at this. This is so Italian. I don't have any Italian genetics, but I'm going Italian for this scene here.
I don't think you need any Italian genetics to enjoy tiramisu. This is the great thing about the global economy. Everybody can add everything.
But now the supply chain is getting messed up, so we might have to just start grazing in our backyards.
We're going to have to come up with some sort of flaming hot tiramisu because we're not going to have the espresso dust.
That actually sounds very interesting. I might.
I'm telling you, it's just a matter of time. Now, let's go to your quote. This is your favorite quote. I don't know if you have read her book. It's called The 5-Second Rule, but this is Mel Robbins.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I would recommend it. It's great. Start before you're ready. Don't prepare, begin. What does this mean to you?
That means stop procrastinating and 3, 2, 1, take action. So her rule, as we know, 5-second rule, that's too long for me. I can't do 5 seconds. So a whole like roster of images start to pop up in my head in that time. So I shortened it. It's 3, 2, 1, and then I start taking action because I am an overthinker. I'm sure you gathered, I can be a little bit intellectual and reflective based off some of the, things.
Mulholland Drive. Yeah. I think that told me everything I need to know.
Yeah. So, I need to take action for sure. Another favorite quote, I'll just throw it out there, is my own company tagline: purpose and profit should never be mutually exclusive. But I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm not going to quote myself here. So I was like, let me go Mel. I love Mel. Love her.
You could have quoted yourself. Listen, there's no rules here.
I could have.
Quoting yourself is the equivalent of this guy showing up in this shirt, which is fine.
That's true.
You got to break rules,
Absolutely. Being disruptive.
Speaking of being disruptive, you've answered the 5 questions of doom. So now, would you like to do a little commercial about Alter New Media? You want to talk to the public about where they can find you, where they can hire you?
Sure. Well, this has been so much fun, super refreshing. I loved it. So guys, Alter New Media is a marketing and PR company serving primarily mission-driven and disruptive founders with achieving their goals while making a difference in the world. And we do that through our productized marketing solutions, co-created partnerships, and co-created media. You can find me obviously here on LinkedIn. Type in my name, it's right there. You'll find me. And then you can also Google Alter New Media, or you can go to our website, www.alternewmedia.com. And if you DM me and you are a founder that considers yourself faceless, I am a big advocate for overcoming what I call faceless founder syndrome. Then shoot me a message. Let's get you over the hump of your FFS and get you more visible so you can make more of an impact with your platform and drive your company's goals forward more effectively. I will offer you a complimentary visibility blueprint. Get yourself out there. DM this guy. Get on a show, guys. Like, hello. Stop.
Yeah. Exactly.
Here you go.
Faceless founder syndrome. Have you trademarked that? Because I might steal it.
I have not.
Yes. Hey guys, listen. If you want to, I have this great idea. Faceless founder syndrome. You got to get over that.
Yes.
5 seconds.
Get over it. Get over the FFS.
We're over it. Look at us.
I know. Seriously. There you go.
Well, thank you for coming on. Do me a favor. Can you stick around in the green room? I'm just going to log off the live so the people can go on about their day. Thank you very much for coming on. You were great. And I will be back, I think, Thursday. I don't know. I'm horribly disorganized. Anyway, have a lovely evening. Goodbye, America. And go watch Mulholland Drive. It's weird.
Yes.